Kamusta po? Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time visiting my channel, my name is Felix. I'm a YouTube content creator from Indonesia. Okay, for this one, I will react. Of course, you'll know from the title, which is Are Filipinos Asian, Hispanic, or Pacific Islanders? So this is an 11-minute video discussing about even more of background of a Filipino that can give me more of a fun fact of who or what is a Filipino originated really. So basically, what is Filipino people originated from? So something like that. So without further ado, let's go check it out. Let's check, let's react. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so the Philippines recently won Miss Universe, which means once again the Philippines is an international spotlight. How many of you Filipinos out there have gotten these questions?
Are Filipinos Hispanic? Are Filipinos Pacific Islanders?
Okay.
Short answer, yes, yes, and yes.
Yep.
The long answer, that's a little tricky. This is where it gets a little complicated.
Okay.
So, first, are Filipinos Asian? Honestly, I'm surprised that we still get this question. The Philippines has officially been listed as an Asian country since forever, I feel like, since the beginning of time. I don't know. Well, there's two big reasons people cite Filipinos for not being Asian. One, our connection to the West, and two, the country's religion. Yes, the Philippines was Spanish and U.S. occupied, and well, because of that Spanish occupation, the country is mostly Catholic.
So I'm going to break this down geographically, ethnically, culturally, and linguistically.
Okay, nice.
So take a
Okay,
look at
geography.
Taiwan, which is the closest country to Philippines. We are 100 miles from Taiwan. You could literally swim from Itbaya to Orchid Island. We're also 400
Literally
miles from
swim.
China. In fact, we're closer to China than Japan is.
So the Filipinos that you see every day, like me and your friend, are not how the original Filipinos actually look like. So
Ethnicity.
this is an Aboriginal Filipino, and because of their separation from the rest of society and the rest of the country, their lineage has been mostly untouched by Spanish, Chinese, and other visitors. So they would most accurately represent how the original Filipino.
Oh, so this is the original Filipino without the effect of the Spanish, the US, and everything. While the Filipino we see now is like a cultivation, or sort you say like a combination between like a Spanish and Filipino, of course, because on the colonization, maybe like the Spanish maybe married the Filipino, and Filipino maybe married the Spanish or something like that, and it's causing the acculturation, something the mixture in a culture.
Look like. So the Filipinos you see every day, like me, movies, TVs, your coworker that's really good at karaoke, your male friend that really likes K-pop. Were the results of generation and generations of mixing.
Yep.
Mainly Spanish, Chinese, and Indonesian.
So one of the most popular
Oh,
theories is
Spanish,
on
Chinese, and
Taiwan,
Indonesian. So Indonesian, somewhat like that. I'm a mixture of Chinese and also Indonesian.
It states that the first settlers of the Philippines came from Taiwan and China around 4000 BC, which means that Filipinos and Chinese share the same ancestors. So if you go back far enough, I'm sure most Filipinos can trace their lineage all the way back to China. And since sea migration has become viable, the Philippines has always been a destination for Indonesian, Chinese, and other Asian immigrants.
Yep. Culture.
So Filipino culture and their tradition are in line with a lot of other Asian countries. We have the same kind of values. We teach, high respect for elders.
Yeah. We also know that in Java and in all the countries of
we even
Indonesia.
take our shoes off before we enter the house. How Asian
Yes,
is that?
yes.
Food.
Oh.
I mean, look at this. We have very similar cuisines. We eat rice, egg rolls, rice desserts. We eat plenty of food. Similar cuisines. We eat rice, egg roll.
Oh, egg rolls. I know that in the Japanese cuisine, in a hoka bento. Like we also know this in Indonesia, and it's one of the most popular food in Indonesia.
Rice desserts.
Yes. Yes, noodle.
Tofu.
Tofu with a soy sauce, ketchup sauce, something like a fried tofu with a garlic
I mean,
or
pretty much everyone.
boba,
One drinks
boba.
boba. If that isn't evidence enough, I don't know what is.
Language,
So Tagalog is an Austronesian language.
Austronesian.
It has the same similarities and it has the same roots as a lot of other Asian
Because there's
countries.
like the Indonesian,
Malay,
there's a Malay, right? There's
and
also like a
in addition to that,
English
a lot of
also
Tagalog is
mixing
derived from
there.
Chinese Mandarin and Chinese Hokkien, which is a southern Chinese language.
Mm,
Tagalog, T is ta,
ta, ta.
gold is ginto, soy sauce is oil.
Tao Yu.
Tagalog, ki is sushi.
Ah, by the way, I know about Hokkien, so yeah, I know. Saucy is key. Yeah, it's kind of different from Mandarin, from Chinese Mandarin, but it's like like what he said. Like Chinese is in China, while Hokkien is somewhat of a like southern China or something. Like I know that key is saucy. We call it saucy. Hitel.
So, by all accounts, geographically, ethnically, culturally, linguistically, Filipinos are Asian.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Of course.
Anyone who says otherwise, I don't know, probably hates Filipinos.
Our
Hispanic
Filipinos,
refers to the people,
Hispanic.
nations, and cultures that have
Yep.
a historic.
of course, he has a historical link to Spanish because the colonization era made them mixing their language with Spanish. The thing that I wonder of Indonesia is that our ancestors are able to really speak in Dutch fluently because we were colonized like 350 plus years, but now I can't even speak Dutch word. Maybe I can like burgerlijk wetboek, something like that. I know because I'm enrolled in law school, and law school we refer to documents or legal documents from the Dutch era, so I know. But for a local or a regular person, I don't think they will know if they don't learn like history lesson or something. They will know because there isn't like our parents don't know about the Dutch language and everything, but maybe some of them still know, but not like most of the child now. If you like challenge who can speak Dutch, like no one. While Filipino can still mix and match their language with Spanish, and wow, that's dope.
Link to the Spanish language or country of Spain, but more commonly, it applies to the countries once under colonial possession of Spain.
Yes.
Spain occupied the Philippines for a really, really, really long time. Usually the first country when you think of the word Hispanic is Mexico, but never the Philippines. Why is that? So if we go back, Spain occupied Mexico from 1521 to 1821,
Oh.
which is exactly 300 years.
Okay, so wow, Dutch occupied Indonesia far more. It's longer than 50 years than Spain.
Summit of the hill, overlooking the sea, and claiming for King of Spain possession of all the islands he had seen, which officially and by records marked the
I need
beginning of
to
the Spanish
maximize a little
colonization
bit.
of the Philippines. However, Magellan died only a month
Oh,
later,
Magellan.
so a lot of people like to cite February 13, 1565, which was when Miguel Lopez de Legazpi conquered Cebu. Then,
Oh.
on June 12, 1898, the Philippines issued their Declaration of Independence from Spain.
That's 377 years, or 333 years if you go by the second date. Spain occupied the Philippines longer than Mexico. I mean, if anything, Filipinos are more Hispanic than Mexicans. That was a joke. Don't hurt me. I mean,
Oh my
just look at our
God.
last names.
Cruz, Perez, Lopez, Fernandez, Garcia,
Of course, like Cocoy de Santos and Santos. Wait. Yeah, something like that. There's those Spanish name accustomed in the Filipino peoples, in the Pinoy's names.
Sanchez.
Alright?
You can't get any more Hispanic than that.
Carlos de Santos,
Almost 400
Cocoy de
years of Hispanic
Santos.
occupation. You can be sure there was a lot of Spanish Filipino mixing and intermarrying.
Mm.
Now, whether this was by choice of the Filipino or not is irrelevant, but because of how inconsistent and unreliable Filipino records were in the 1600s, there's not really any accurate number of how many Filipinos have Spanish ancestry. The numbers vary depending on which report you look at, but I've seen the number as high as 50%.
Wow.
Now, I doubt the number is actually that high, but it just gives you some perspective of how much Filipinos have Spanish ancestry.
Okay, someone says for more than 40,
Linguistically,
50,
Spanish
30,
has been the official
35.
language of the Philippines since 1565. Aside from Spanish itself, Tagalog has heavy Spanish influence. In fact, 40% of all
Yes,
Tagalog
yes,
has their
I
origin in
noticed.
Spanish, and even uses Spanish outright. Tenedor, cuchara,
Kuchara.
cuchillo,
Kuchillo.
Wow.
zapatos,
Zapatos.
Well, Indonesia, sapato. Same again.
medyas.
Medias.
Wow.
So yes, Filipinos are Hispanic.
So basically, by being born a Filipino, you can survive in US, you can survive in UK, you can survive in Spanish, you can survive in Spain, you can survive in Malay, you can survive in Indonesia, just by being born as a Pinoy. Are Filipinos Pacific
Are Filipinos
Islanders?
Pacific Islander? This one's tricky.
If you just want to go by the definition that a Pacific Islander is an inhabitant of an island in the Pacific, then yes, Filipinos do live on an island in the Pacific. But if you want to go deeper, Pacific Islander usually refers to the inhabitants of the islands of Micronesia, Melanesia, and
Polynesia.
And Filipinos have a strong connection with all of those groups.
Wow. Okay.
Here's a map of Micronesia. If you look at this, Davao is only 600 miles from Palau. And Palau was actually technically part of the Philippines back in 1885.
Okay. Ethnicity.
So, according to the same theory I mentioned earlier, the first settlers of Micronesia actually came from the Philippines. And you can see on the map, migration started here in Taiwan, then to the Philippines, and then from the Philippines, our ancestors migrated eastward about 2,200 BC from Luzon to the Marianas Islands and Guam. And then later in 1000 BC, from Mindanao to Palau.
Wow.
And later spread through the rest of Micronesia around 200 BC.
Ooh.
And being only 600 miles away, continual migration was shared between the Philippines and Micronesia, even until today. Meaning modern Micronesian Filipinos would have the same ancestors. In fact, almost 40% of inhabitants in northern Marianas, Guam, and Palau are ethnically Filipino. And
Okay.
an even bigger percentage have some sort of Filipino ancestry. It is theorized that the first settlers of Polynesia came from the Philippines and Taiwan. They then migrated south through Melanesia in 1300 BC, then later to Samoa in 800 BC, then to Tonga in 900 BC, and then to the rest of the islands in 700 AD. This would mean that modern Polynesians and Filipinos would have the same ancestors.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Linguistically, the connection is also evident in the language. Take the word mata.
Mm.
In Tagalog, mata means eyes.
Yeah,
And
Indonesia
also
as
the same
well.
in Samoan, Tongan, and Tahitian. Sky is langit
Yep.
in Tagalog.
In Samoan, it's lang.
Counting
In
from 1 to 10 is
Indonesia, it's
basically the
langit.
same in Cebuano and Samoan.
In Cebuano,
And in Samoan,
it's usa,
it's tasi,
duhat,
lua,
tulo,
tolu,
upat,
fa,
lima,
lima,
5.
unom,
ono,
Oh, no.
pito,
fitu,
walo,
balu,
siyam,
iva.
ug napulo.
Oh my god. Some of the words I need to replay, if I'm not mistaken, on the 6 or 7. It's like it's a Japanese words in Indonesia. In Indonesia, we know is CG 1, loro 2, CG loro telu 3, papat for 4, 5 telu, CG loro telu papat limo for 5, 6 is CG loro telu papat limo 6, 6, 7 pito, 8 wolu, songo, 10. So songo is 9. So and I really see that there's some similarities there. Okay, wait.
Dua,
Tulo,
Dua,
upat,
4,
lima,
5, same like Indonesia, 5.
unom,
Uno,
ono,
Like that's a Spanish, like I know.
Pito.
Pito, pitu, right? Pito, pitu. In Indonesian, in Javanese language, we call 7 is in pito, pitu, pitu. Something like that.
Itu,
Pitu.
Walo.
Walo.
Balu,
Siyam.
It's different.
Napulo.
Okay, so 6 and 7,
Actually-
similar with Japanese Indonesian language.
All the Filipino,
We are
Polynesian,
really
Indonesian,
similar.
and Melanesian languages are
That's
all
why.
classified as Austronesian
Yep,
languages.
that's why. Yep, right. Philippines, Indonesia, right. It's in the same group, because Philippines has somewhat a similarities with Spanish, with the Malaysia, and Indonesia also have the really same. That's why we Indonesian can understand Bahasa Melayu. We can understand somewhat of a Malaysian. When Malaysia says in Melayu, we can really still understand it, because it is really similar with Indonesian language.
Languages because of their shared origin and their similarities. So, our Filipino-Pacific Islander, well, we definitely have shared ancestry, but it depends on your definition in the U.S. Since definition clearly states Polynesian, Melanesian, and Micronesian.
So Philippines are included in. Oh, that's for me.
To summarize, our Filipino-Pacific Islander depends on your definition. Once again,
For me,
our
yes.
Filipinos Hispanic.
Yes,
Our Filipinos Asian.
of course.
1,000,000,000% yes. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. I hope this cleared things up.
Okay. Thanks for this, man. Thanks for this. The new
I'll see you next
knowledge
time.
of Philippines. Okay, stop it here. Okay, wow, this is a new knowledge for me. This has been an amazing knowledgeable video for me to learn more about Philippines and how it has originated and how it has affected the language, and why it is so similar with Spanish, Indonesian, as I've seen also in a previous reaction, and it is being in depth, being covered and being discussed again in this video. And it is really proving that through cultural exchange we can learn so many things, we can grasp so many things, we can learn so many things, just like you guys now are in the Philippines. As a Filipino, no Spanish, no Malaysian language, no Malayu language, no English, and also no Tagalog, and everything, because of the mixture and the exchange of like Spanish with in the Filipino, and also US in the Filipino, and everything. So I think I gotta conclude it here. Thank you so much for you guys who have watched and requested for this video. Salamat po and ingat.